Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's educational webinar hosted by International Trade Council. My name is Ron Olasco, and I'm delighted to be your moderator for today's session. Before we start our discussion, let's take care of some quick housekeeping matters. Firstly, can everyone hear me clearly? If you can, please type in yes in the chat box. All right, thank you. Excellent. Thank you for confirming. And now let's ensure that everyone can see the presentation slides. If you're experiencing any issues with the audio or visual, please let us know in the chat box and I will assist you promptly. So it seems that everything is running smoothly. Just a quick reminder for our attendees, if you have any questions during the presentation, please feel free to type them in to the Q&A box located in your webinar interface. We'll address as many questions as possible during the Q&A session following the presentation. So let's start with the topic. Our topic for today is AI in the IoT, revolutionizing. Oh, sorry. Our topic for today is technology transformation, CIO roles, and strategy gaps in organization. And our speaker for today is Ravi Raharia, founder of Granular. In this session, we'll explore how technology has evolved and how businesses of all sizes can leverage it, including the implementation of tech projects in large companies and strategies for smaller ones. We'll all discuss the management perspective on technology, the crucial role for analytics, and how everyone can benefit from understanding technology for their careers. Additionally, we'll cover fundamental concepts and basics of project management. So let's start. Please join me in welcoming Ravi Kahaja. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Ron, for this introduction. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to present something where usually the companies, have a lot of gaps in understanding. So let me give you a brief introduction about myself. I am Ravi. You can call me as Ravi, and I'm based in India, Mumbai, and I have been part of large-scale transformation projects in the past in the position of a CIO. I have been with a top five consulting firm like Accenture or Tech Mahindra, Satyam, which was erstwhile company. And I've done a lot of large scale ERP, SAP projects, and I've been to the grind, being 25 plus years of hardcore experience into, implementing and coming across the gaps in processes. But this session, especially, I have curated for the organizations who really lack the role of a CIO, who plays an important role whenever there is an IT project that is supposed to be implemented. So I'm going to cover what really happens, and how those gaps can be covered in a very systematic way. So you basically need a CIO at your end. That is the thing. I am also a renowned speaker. I'm called across by the CIIs. I'm an official faculty to many places. I go as consulting virtual CIO to many companies as well. So I established in 2020, and these are some of the awards that I have received because I've been serving the SME or the MSME segment. Uh, and there's a lot of transformation we've brought in. And this concept of curating specific sessions for the owners has really helped the owners to think differently. And certain training sessions I've been conducting. This was related to one of the cybersecurity trainings that I'd given to a layman, and I've also been called by management institutes. And we are an ISO 9001 company. We are following certain quality parameters at our end. So all our deliverables are vetted, and we're doing some stuff that is quality in the industry today. So let me quickly take you to the content. Well, I'll tell you, this usually is a very, very vast topic. I'm going to try and cover it in 45 minutes today. So some of the aspects I might run a bit faster, but that's more in the interest that we cover the most important aspects. Okay, and we can always connect later on in case if someone has a doubt. As Ron rightly mentioned, we'll have a Q&A session as well. So we're going to cover, how the technology landscapes run, or how organizations undergo a transformation process, what a large technology implementation looks like, how do they do it, what problems a very large company faces. So there's certain methodologies or project planning. We cover a lot of method in terms of the people, process, finance, and technology, and there are certain industry 4.0 concepts we bring in. And there is also an ROI model that we have devised, and obviously the analytics. So as I see the audience for today, I received a lot of people who have registered for this session. There are certain visionary businessmen, fantastic certain department heads, someone who's tried a tech project but he's failed, and someone who's here for knowledge. So all are welcome. Thank you so much, and looking forward. I hope I'm able to answer all your queries today. So very quickly, why business automation? There are companies who just bring in a software and they feel, okay, I bought a software, I don't think I need to do really more than that, isn't it? We've spent a lot, but if you look at it, if you do it in a very systematic way, you get a 30% increase in operational efficiencies. Okay, 25% in improvement through throughput. So cost of quality is really improved, or sales efficiency is improved. 50% of customer satisfaction over here, and 60% of procurement efficiency. So all this is, keep into mind the cost pressures that the industry is bringing in today for all of you. So there is a lot that happens from an IT perspective. Well, there was a time when people used to say this is business, this is technology, but it doesn't work that way. You need to have technology also. Today technology is running businesses, right? So let's keep that in mind and keep that focus across. Well, this is someone who's a business owner who's kind of evolved over a period of time, and suddenly someone tells him, "Hey, you need an ERP, you need a CRM, HR systems, and all these systems into place." Suddenly, you like expanded globally also. So how do you really take that scenario in hand? Okay, so typical landscape, so it's a very complicated landscape. I'm sorry, I'm scaring you over here. But for a large company, you have your SAP systems or legacy systems, or look at these, ERP suites there, IoT platforms or Salesforce there. Then there are mobile apps required, business process, WANs, LANs, infrastructure, data storage tools on cloud. Oh, it looks like a mess, isn't it? But where is that person who really understands your business and formulates this? And that is the role of a chief information officer. The CIO should be there in your organization. The CIO, CTO is supposed to understand your business and help you formulate a part of it so that you have proper technology investment coming in for you. Okay, so this is where it's all about. So various roles, I'm looking at it, the financial aspects, the integrated. If you implement for finance department, you see the financial modules, the taxation requirements, that to global, local. Say I'm in India, the whole taxation requirement is different. But if I'm an Indian company and I have an office in UK, the taxation requirements locally should also be met. So my ERP system, my financial system should be equipped with the right kind of consolidation reports. There are certain legal compliances happening there, better controls. This is very important. I know a lot of business owners, they have an ERP implemented, but they're still using MS Excel to download the data and do some consolidation. Then you're not possibly utilizing your investment that you made on technology. So there is something that is lacking. You've not done your gap analysis. So we as CIOs do that. CIOs usually do a gap analysis. There is a process for it. Okay. Why? Because you have your decision making is based on data. When I say that, you have a proper dashboard coming in, there's a proper MIS coming in, and you make your decisions based. How wonderful the way it is configured. If you have a full-fledged system configured well, you don't have to worry at all. The system will help you run your business from an operational to a management perspective. Now, if you look at the sales aspect, you see there is a digital marketing initiative, there's a CRM initiative, efficient lead management coming in, sales pipeline view. So you see there's so many technologies. Let me give you an example. Let's say if, I'm a customer today, and if I call up Suzuki, and if I say, hey, I am looking for a car here. Now, just imagine, there is some kind of a system behind where the sales guy is equipped with some kind of a data when he is actually going to meet me physically, is well prepared, knowing my social media likes. Okay, and he will come out with some kind of a data that this person, let's say, is more a person who goes for mountain driving. He loves that. So his sales pitch would be so perfect because he wants to close that deal. And that is where the big data and all these initiatives, the intelligence helps in him to close the deals with him. unless if he is going to ask me certain questions, but what if he's prepared? So today's world is more about, how the salespeople are using this data to have a proper lead management. So the sales head who's kind of looking at a global requirement will have a lot and lot, closures coming in. So this is how technology is helping in sales. Now there are these systems who do predictive intelligence, and cognitive intelligence coming in. Say like you have your phones which are on Android or Apple, they kind of study a lot of data at your end, right? So that data is also utilized by the sales team. Yeah, well, you might say, yes, is it right or wrong? But yes, some meaningful data is being used, which is used in a proper manner. So we need to be very careful, what we are going to like and select on the social media as well. So this is a beauty of how the end-to-end technology runs today. Now, if I look at the next year, how to achieve your business goals with technology. See, I might be going a bit fast considering the time here. Feel free to ask questions which I can take in the Q&A. So how generally companies do, they go for accounting and finance, okay, and then if you have a manufacturing unit, they might then, okay, let's implement manufacturing now, proper ERP, CRM, they go for reporting, they go step by step here, okay. So this is their journey, till the end, and by the time they reach somewhere here, they find there is a lot of complication. Let us change the whole system. Usually, many companies do that, which I have seen in my experience. But if I look at it, what should be the ideal process? Okay, you should know what your business needs upfront. You should do a technology finding for all your departments in the initial phases. Well, if you've already implemented something, then call upon a CIO like me who can help you doing the technology gap identification and tell you, hey guys, these are the gaps you need to fill in your current ERP. Find the right IT partner who can help you implement it. Do the budgeting, the capital expenditure, operating expenditure, and take the right advice from the right people. I keep saying that, there's a lot of information available on Google, but I would recommend to go to the right people, take the right advice from the right CIO whenever the technology is involved. You might not be able to afford a full-time CIO for your organization. That is fine. Go for a fractional CIO who's following certain quality standards. This is where we come from. So follow the ideal process, follow the best practices that the industry offers you today. Okay. Now, if you look at here, some example I'm giving, this company, let's say this is based in India. Okay, now they have a centralized data center in Asia connected to a single ERP system, and these could be the other locations the company has. Now, what happens in this case is, as I told you earlier, there are like localized requirements here for taxation. Whether it be South America or the Russia or the Australia. Okay, all this is consolidated at one end. The analytics and dashboards really show the kind of reporting to the management and the mid management for the actions that need to be taken. If you know, like the supply chain management or your possibly the manufacturing team, the procurement team, they can really take good calls when they are at their individual sites or at the global site. So this really calls in for a coordinated approach, and these operations run 24 by 7. But how do you really strategize this? That's where the CIO plays a very major role. Now, if you have a CIO in the organization, then ensure that you make him part of your decision making. All your important meetings, he has to be part of it. And if you don't have a CIO, need not worry. There are various ways to get these things done. You might be a small or a mid-sized company, not a problem. This can still be achieved. Many companies today depend only on a software provider to help. Well, somewhere the content really misses from a strategic point of view. Now, this is what I call as a strategy. You need to build a strategy for your organization, the IT strategy, most importantly. So here you see a very typical how a large company does is, they kind of have the procurement department, the finance department, and the warehousing and inventory department, and they will have a well-defined process for each and every step. I've taken as an example the procurement process. You see here it flows to the finance, the accounts payable, and the item arrives in the warehouse, and actually the inventory is added here, and this would actually go and impact your balance sheet as well, because you will have certain stock coming into the current stock coming in. So the whole process is well defined before the ERP is implemented. So ask yourself, have you done this kind of an exercise? Have your head of departments really involved themselves into such an activity? If not, then maybe you are missing out on the strategy piece of it. So implementing any ERP today is going to be a complex thing if you are not involving the right kind of stakeholders. So that's where again a CIO would come in. So if you see here, an ERP helps in the manufacturing, purchasing, the web portals, CRMs, distribution, time projects, dashboards, and finance. Very, very important today. Most importantly, you are doing a proper process definition for each and every department. If you are not doing this today, then possibly you are missing out on the best practices, quality standards, that how an ERP has to be implemented. This is just an example, but if you're spending a lot of money on this, please follow the best practices. So you may please take my consideration, because I do not want you to spend a lot of money without getting into the right way or right strategy implementing it. Well, certain challenges. So I might sound a bit pessimistic here, but I've seen a lot of companies just go for a software. So what challenges they face? They have some older systems, the legacy systems. They miss integration, or the integration is there, but it's very manual. Data management and security is not there. That is another issue. Skill gap. You do not train your people. They might be older employees. You don't skill them, don't train them. They lose interest. They leave your company and go away. Interoperability, there are many other systems in the organizations. You don't kind of look at the impact of other systems when a new system is coming in. Change management, most important. You do not really plan at how your employees would look at this change in the organization. Return of investment. Some people ask me, is return of investment really possible in IT industry? Well, very much, it is very much possible. So all that spending that you're doing is can actually, you can return in 3 to 5 years if it is planned well. You just need a good CIO at your end. Okay, there should be a proper business justification for it, and some regulatory and compliance initiatives, something like a document management system or ISO requirements. Like pharma companies, they do it. Whole QMS, or change control management. That is very much possible, provided it is implemented well. There's to be a roadmap, an IT roadmap for it. So what we do is we involve the right stakeholders. Well managed IT gap assessment, very important, guys, very important. Please do not miss out on this. Training should be as a culture in the organization. It should be like, hey, what am I, something new, how best I can give knowledge to others. And return of investment, as I said, but there has to be a monetary gain in terms of productivity, in terms of the, there has to be an impact on the profit and loss statement out there, right? And your IT team should be well organized. So this is something that without a CIO, it's not possible. So this is an awareness that I would want to give today, that please involve the strategic brain out there who can help you doing that. What are the challenges faced by the business when opting for technology? Again, you select wrong technology because you don't have someone internally available to help you assess. You might just go for a technology tool for someone who's wearing a nice coat, or wearing a nice tire, give you a good presentation. You would select that technology. Well, whether that technology suits your organization or no, that thing is missed out very often. Or maybe you're using a tool, but that's outdated today. You're doing manual operations even after technology implementations. You're using Excel, Google Sheets to do that stuff. It's fine, not a problem at all. It's just that that Excel can be forwarded to anyone and everyone outside today. WhatsApp is there on mobile, OneDrive is also there on mobile. You can just forward it. And again, as I said, chain management, financing and budgeting for IT. Whoosh, not many people do that, isn't it? And today's business assumptions, what about future growth plans? So that is where CIO would really help, because you need to look at future growth plans of the organization. Like you might do a merger and acquisition, and you're configuring a system today. Will it really help in the future growth whenever there is a growth happening? So all that is missed out, if you're not going in a strategic kind of a way. Okay, so this is very important. I've just listed down some challenges. Each of them really have a lot deep dive. We've gone through the grind before, and this can be much simplified rather than solving a puzzle. That's very important. So just a very brief, there is no project management at all. So we kind of do this when we're implementing larger projects. We do project preparation. There's a blueprint exercise happening where I told about this process definition, coming into picture. There's a realization phase, there's a testing phase. We do 3 rounds of testing usually from a project management perspective in implementing a large ERP. There's a cutover phase. Now many people might not know what is a cutover, where it's just that I'm going to go live on 1st of April, and I might want that data migration, cleansing and migrating the data, and I would bring all my open sales orders, purchase orders, my master data cleanse, and go live on the 1st of April from my older system. If this cycle is not done well, I would put in junk into the new system. So we encourage such kind of quality ways of doing things. That's where I go live to the new system. And then we move on to the support and stability. So this is clearly a project management exercise, a PMO who should really be given the right kind of guidance and direction. Again, a CIO really plays a role over here. Okay, but he should be like a CIO who's played a project management kind of a role in the past, who's gone through the grind, who can understand and get the systems implemented rightly. Typical, this is just an example. We were doing a merger and acquisition for a company in the US, and we had such a large kind of 11 systems that we had to migrate from that system. So, merger and acquisition, again, very complicated. We had 11 work streams, and each of the work streams had an owner, and each of them had a team as well. But if you look at the governance that is there, I have a CIO there, there's a technology advisory board, there is a OCM, there's a project management office, a change advisory board, and everything happening in tandem. We went live on one single day with all these systems in. This was a 11-month project. Okay. But unless this structure was not in place and all of them giving the right accountability and the ways of working, there was a proper RACI model done there. Okay. So people really worked in tandem to ensure that go live was met in a systematic way. So this is one of the projects where I feel, okay, I've really done something for the organization as a CIO. Okay. So these projects really are so complex because none of the work streams, we've tested before, but everything is tested there and there itself. And this is not only from the IT software guy, even the business user is involved in this. So we really work in such a way where everyone is in similar, working in one conference room, and we are like, it's like a war room situation. Okay. Well, our approach has always been the four buckets here with people, process, technology, and finance. So when it comes to people, it is change management, process. Yes, defined best practices and the quality standards are very high. When it comes to technology, as I said, you select the best technology with best practices, and there is a process automation happening in a very systematic way. And when it comes to finance, you have to plan your budgets very well, the capital expenditure, OPEX, everything. So all these, four, and of course, there's one more. If there is a manufacturing coming in, then there is operations also coming into picture. Okay. So these are certain hubs that we take care as a CIO. There is an IT roadmap. There is understanding the business challenges. Okay. Then there's a formation of IT strategy. What many people really miss out that, what is that? Say for example, I am a company who is going to implement ERP for my organization. Okay. So I need to do these steps before this. Now, usually companies miss that. Okay. So that is the place where you have a CIO who does these challenges, gaps identified, and ensure the process related issues are resolved before you get onto the technology, platform. Though you form an IT strategy, you do a road mapping also, and then have an IT budget that this would be the ideal spend and an ROI, and then form an IT team within your organization who would give that kind of statistics, the way you have to implement. I showed you that structure before, right? Most importantly, there is a strategy that is involved. If you see now, if this is missing, this whole thing would go for a toss. The whole IT investment would go for a toss. So guys, my sincere request, please follow this strategic way of doing things that would really make a big benefit to your IT spend. I would keep harping on that again and again. Now, why this awareness? Why am I doing this? Moment I took up, I started my consulting firm in 2020. I saw, the larger companies usually have a full-time CIO. Okay. Now, The mid-sized companies usually miss on that. Now the larger companies are, usually the 40% of the overall gamut that is there in the industry today. But small and mid-sized, which owns 60% of people, either they would have a finance and accounts department, or a tally expert is one of the financial tools, here, graphic designer, digital marketing, Excel expert. These kind of hold the whole IT scenario. But moment you are growing this company, there is a lot of systems that are outdated, and you are actually supporting the larger companies, whether in an ancillary or a supplier to them. Right now, these companies are well equipped with a proper ERP, but you are, as a mid-size, not done, not upgraded your systems. So here also, this CIO can be bought in. This is what the service I was trying to say. But again, the strategy piece, the business owner should be well knowing what and which direction he has to go for. Maybe he started 3 years back with a smaller revenue or a turnover, but today he's growing big. So that planning, the vision is very important. This kind of implementation scenario can be replicated here also with a systematic way. Okay, so I will just move ahead now. These are certain industry 4.0 concepts that we followed. There are IoTs for manufacturing companies, there are cloud computings, or a big analytics data, robotics coming into picture for manufacturing, or artificial intelligence coming into ERP systems. Yes, very much possible. Then there is machine learning coming in, the digital twins. A lot can be explored if you Google on each of these words that I'm saying here. Or integration with ERP, very important. Like for example, I'll give you a scenario where there is no CIO. So what happens? You might actually start buying these systems. You might just procure ERP or a CRM, or you might procure analytics, you might procure some other systems, and you might start creating a bouquet around yourself. But what about them talking to each other? Are they looking at those important data structures? Is your cybersecurity well done? How about those GDPR laws that are existing in the Europe, or even in India there's IDPR, or even in the US there are certain laws and compliance? Are you really following that? Now those are some aspects you have to follow. Even your business continuity plan, even your backup and restore policy, your IT policy. So moment you are growing to certain level, you need to ensure that more the systems, all these things have to be managed within your organization as well. So no single software might be able to give you 100% solution, but how and where to get it, that's a role that can be devised in your organization as well. This is what I'm trying to say here. So, how the desired outcomes really come across? You see there is industry best practices coming in, or budgeting for futuristic technology needs, or futuristic approach for what technology I should go for. IT strategy well detailed, well aligned. There should be a roadmap for next 3 years, and there should be a kind of an estimate that this should be my IT budget for this financial year. That can be done. A return of investment so important. I mean, as a business owner, I would love to know how much spend I'm going to make and what is it that I'm going to get it back. Okay, and all these opportunities really come out. There are certain departments who would really want things to be automated from a compliance perspective as well. So those can be given priority. Ultimately, you achieve a digital transformation. So this is a whole journey that takes place, but provided you have the right people in the right team that is designed in your organization, which is there. Okay, so of course we really help you in doing that. There's a right kind of strategy going into place. Now, these are certain top benefits of implementing an ERP software. I'm, of course, you must be aware of this. Like there is a proper security and regulatory compliance out here, right? And there is a proper competition now. Now, see, you could actually beat your competition. Why? Because if you have better systems today, what would happen is, you are able to, your turnaround time is much faster. Just tell me one thing, guys. When there was a lockdown during COVID, what really made a big difference with Amazon? Did they really predict a lockdown? The answer is no. But what they did was that their systems were such robust, okay, and the logistics was, well defined, that every person ordering today from the home got his order. And that something was a need of the hour, isn't it? So this had Amazon or the Flipkarts or those things not being there, how on earth the COVID lockdown, this would have really functioned. People would have been, they would have had to step down to get food, right? So these things really helped, isn't it? So now you have to really think of a risk and assessment also when you're implementing or possibly formulating your business strategy. So that's where technology takes a big role. No one really predicted such kind of a thing going to happen, but Amazon's structure was amazing. Okay, so it's a case study within itself. Okay, and you are working in a very collaborative manner. Everything, the goods, none of their goods that they are sending from a logistics perspective goes to a wrong address. I never got a wrong parcel to my a home address, isn't it? So this is how the whole collaborated approach works, from warehouse procurement to the end final delivery happening. There's a better productivity happening. Amazing. Some people are doing some job in 6 hours now, able to do it in 10 minutes. So are you saying you're going to throw out them from your organization? The answer is no. You might possibly give them something that is helping in some other department, or maybe they are more strategic and operational at the same time, right? And plus, most important, everything is on mobile now. Everything is on iPad. Your business is happening while you are going out. You're on the move. So your futuristic systems have to be aligned in that way. Your employees should be really motivated to do the job that they are performing today. They would love if there is system that is giving them the right kind of data. You don't want people to just getting frustrated punching data for no reason, right? Have that process aligned, have good systems in place, save money by that. You should, it's not that you buy expensive systems, they'll give you everything. No, you get systems as per your budget. If there is a proper process alignment done, let me repeat that, you actually save money. Okay. So this is something that you get. Most importantly, guys, customer service. Customer should be the king at the end of the day, isn't it? If the customer is not getting a good service, then all the technology that you've implemented is, there is a big gap. You really need to relook at your systems. So that's where a proper CIO comes in. He needs to understand all these aspects, ensuring that there is to be proper growth. So if you have a CIO at your end who's not looking at these aspects, it means you're missing out on this strategy piece. Please involve strategy into IT, which aligns with your business strategy. IT strategy and business strategy have to be aligned together, right? So again, I say there has to be a forecasting, reporting, and all that. So I'm sure you're getting the right message that what I'm trying to pass out here. And these are certain, social mobility, analytical cloud. These are some newer technologies now coming in, like digital technologies. There are blockchains. Okay, there is the Internet of Things, predictive analytics. Analytics tells you next 2 quarters this could be your profitability. If you do this, there's a proper what if analysis, right? But are you doing that today? You might be using Excel sheets. What about using a proper analytic tool? There are certain tools available which help you doing that. But prior to that, I need to ensure that my data is in structured form. Okay, so these are, like artificial intelligence. Yes, it sits on top of everything, but if my data itself is not structured, okay, how will I use AI as well? Wonderful systems. You get no code, low code platforms where I don't need to code anything. You see here, I mentioned this. And most importantly, there's an ERP, but there is a robot standing here, right? So all major work is done by the bots also. Let the mundane tasks be handled by technology. Bring today, if you are not looking at an organization transformation, okay, start thinking about it. Technology can really help you. Technology can give you the right kind of, a kind of a pinch, a spark there where you can change and do a systematic transformation in your organization. Okay, provided you have the right kind of people along with you. So again, there are 3D, 4D printings, energy modeling. A lot of people are into those aspects. Paperless laboratory. Oh yes, there is not a single paper in some of the labs. There are LIMS, laboratory information management systems. So those are certain pharma compliance that is people follow that. Smart manufacturing. Well, I'm giving a session one more, on smart manufacturing, in this month end to some other, set of audience. And here, it's more like people are trying to save the operational cost, but bring in a lot of data exchange happening in a systematic way. So systems are available. Are your processes really capable? Have you aligned your processes? Most important. Smart supply chain, amazing. Today's supply chain earlier was managed in Excel. I remember one of my bosses was a supply chain head. He used to have a very big Excel sheets, and people from UK, India, and Japan used to kind of punch in data into that Excel sheet remotely. Trust me, it was a big chaos. But is it possible with a smarter system? The answer is yes, very much possible, provided the supply chain head was told that he needs to invest in IT. The management really needs to, pass on that budget to him. What is the strategy? What is the ROI? That needs to be counted. Smart workplace, amazing. Again, HR teams would be really excited if there's a smarter workplace coming in. People working from home, but there's still visibility. Yes, this person is really, productive enough to do. We are working in a very volatile world today, isn't it? People are traveling, people are spending lesser amount on travel, they want to be agile. So yes, it is very much possible. Customer partner experience has to be top notch, because if this is not followed, then how are you going to really run your business? If technology is not helping you in these aspects, it's not going to work, right? So, and I know many economies today, fast growing economies. What's happening today? I might have my own competitor sitting beside me, right? So how am I going to be better than him? The only answer is technology, because you might have better turnaround time, better ways of doing business. I'm constantly changing to myself with a volatile world. Constant changes are happening around me. So I need to be really aligned. I need to look at constant growth plan. So even my technology has to be, more like a rubber band. I don't need to worry about my technology. So whenever you are implementing your technology, ensure that that technology takes care of this volatility that is happening on the business side of it. Earlier, there were CTOs, just working. They only know about backup resources, server integration. Yes, good. But what about that strategy piece? Like a person like me would really want to understand business, because I come from a management background, and then implement technology here, and then how it is worked across the implemented correctly or no across all the departments. So that whole flow is very, very important. So often the CIO strategies miss out on this most important aspect, and they end up into spending money at a later stage, saying, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that, and we kind of move into a different scenario. So I would take this ahead, say if this is a proper transformation happening, what happens? Customers experience is amazing. There's a proper partner ecosystem happening. My vendors are happy, they get their payments on time. I remember we implemented a project for one of our vendors, and they were following up for payments. Now, I only had two people across all over Asia, where they were just managing all the vendors, right? There could be around 500 plus vendors. They just entered the purchase order number in a chatbot. The chatbot would actually go and grab the data from the ERP and tell them, hey, your payment is in progress, or your payment is on hold for this very reason. At least there is someone to respond immediately, and this is what the vendor confidence helps. So it is just about how you as a company are looking at it. Or there is a chatbot really working on giving a faster response, giving the current standard operating procedures. Or even the HR systems are going on chatbots now. Every employee is happy. Hey, how much is my leave today? Chatbot answers like an HR system. Okay. So these things work out, all your stakeholders, so even your employees, your partners, isn't it? Right. Then there are Internet of Things happening. There's a lot of IoTs happening. Your Google Maps again is what kind of a way to do artificial intelligence, isn't it? Now, similar systems, similar sensors are put in those manufacturing plants, where it starts detecting certain scenarios and triggers an action, and it impacts in the ERP system. Amazing. The systems have really matured now. And there is a business intelligence happening, gives right kind of reports happening. What is my profitability for today? Real time profitability. Okay, amazing. What is my total expense? What is the throughput happening today? This is really amazing. And if you look at here, mobility, ERP coming into picture, and we are more into a world which is more agile. So all this is very much required. Okay, if this is not implemented well, then you might not really spend the right kind of money into the right direction, isn't it? I remember we were doing a merger and acquisition for one of the companies, and this company who had acquired the other company, now their systems were very outdated. Okay, so how do it we come out with a strategy to bring in those systems here? Not only the systems, even the employees coming in, they also needed a change management initiative. So our project management, our process alignment, our system alignment, they were all done in a systematic manner. So I showed you the chart earlier. If you would have seen this chart here, I'm going back to the slide here, this one. So this really involves a proper strategy. So do not do a merger and acquisition if you don't have a proper strategy in mind. So if you will do a proper acquisition merger happening here to your organization, but people coming from the other organization might not be happy, or even the current your people might not be happy. So you have to do those exercises. Now, are you saying technology has a role to play? 100%. Yes. You need to have a proper CIO helping you with those strategies, and who kind of involves with the right kind of head of departments and everyone. Well, I'm not saying that the CIO drives and merger and acquisition, but CIO plays a major role out there. Okay, so all your final consolidation, balance sheet requirements, every compliance aspect is all taken care in a right manner. So all I'm trying to say that IT plays a very important role. So the question to you is today, which you're all going to write me on the chat, do you have this kind of an IT strategy already in place? I would really each one of you want to type in the chat box. Are you really implementing certain best practices? If there is a yes, no, please educate the others also. Yes, this is what we are doing today. But please be frank to yourself when you are looking at your own IT, department. Maybe you have a CIO and IT head, but they are more operational, they are not strategic. They know your systems and processes in and out. Very good. What about the strategy? What about your future growth plans? Are you looking at this kind of a scenario for your organization? I had some IT hub slide there. So those things have to come in this slide if you look at it. The road mapping, IT strategy, IT budgeting. So I would request everyone to really punch in the chat box. Have you really thought about these aspects when you're implementing your IT hub, IT department, or the way you are looking at the spend that your IT should be doing? Okay. Well, if you're not, then it is still not late. You can still do it today for your organization. Maybe you are a service industry, maybe you're manufacturing, maybe a retail, maybe it could be anything. Technology really plays an important role. Am I right in mentioning what I'm saying? I'm sorry, just 45 minutes. I had too much to cover, but I'm kind of trying to bring in the right flavor so that you guys get the right aspect, right? So Ron, I think we have still 3 minutes to complete. I thought we would complete the major stuff, but we can start the Q&A if that is fine with everyone. And let's connect over a LinkedIn also, because I'm very much active on LinkedIn as well. So I would love to connect with everyone. I'm putting my email ID as well over here. Okay, so happy to be connected, and I think thank you if I've covered all my matter, but I would really want to want some questions here if someone really want to ask me. Yeah.
All right, thank you for that very interesting presentation, Ravi. So we are now open for questions. Before we open our floor for questions, I would like to have an announcement that all the all the attendees right now will be getting a certificate of participation for attending today's webinar. And also, you will, if you're not yet a member of International Trade Council, please feel free to reach out to me, and we can offer you free memberships. And for those, we will be posting this recording to our YouTube channel, and we will also share this to our social media channels. And if you have any questions about the presentation, please feel free to type in your question here in the chat box or in the Q&A box. We're open for questions now. All right. So one question here. How can your organization foster a culture of innovation to support continuous technology and transformation initiatives?
Uh, That's a good question. Now, see, usually, it starts, I believe everything starts from the top and ends from the top. Um, One, from an HR perspective, you need to ensure that every person is constantly learning. There has to be a training plan, whether it is IT, whether it is innovation into any field, any department. Okay. So if there is a proper training and planning that is done for every individual in the organization, it really helps. And that's where you can bring in the role of technology. I'll give you an example where some technology guys were asked to take training on procurement. They were asked to spend 1 week down in the procurement department or go to the manufacturing plant so that they understand the pain areas. Okay. Now, similarly, those people on the plant were asked to spend a week with the technology guys in the technology department. So they could understand each other, and rather than being in a conflict mindset, they really looked at a collaborative approach for the organization. Suddenly, the innovation, is built up there. It is innovation is all within the employees itself. It doesn't come from outside. You need to develop that culture within, so that you need to have the right training plan. You need to have individual training initiatives, management initiatives coming in. So I think it's a whole overall, as an organization, that strategy really takes place. You know?
All right, thank you so much for that. And um, there one question here: what are some best practices for CIOs to manage cybersecurity risk amidst technological advancements?
Well, again, your technology guy should always ensure, firstly, your CIO should always ensure that the latest firewalls, the end-to-end security is happening any given point of time. One should really invest in the right kind of tools. But the most important thing here is that you need to have your layman, the end user, also educated. We miss out on that many a times. Let's say if I am a user and I don't care about technology. I'm just logging into your ERP system that my management has given. But suddenly he gets an email from somewhere and he clicks on a link, right, which he was not supposed to do. Now that actually downloads something, in the organization's LAN environment, the WAN environment, and that actually beats the whole firewall and everything, and just shoots onto your organization. So as a CIO, it's important that I train every individual that, hey guys, you cannot say I'm going to ignore technology. I have to learn certain aspects of technology from the right people, isn't it? I did this training for one of the organizations for laymen for cybersecurity, and one fine day there was a big scam happening on one of the banking apps here. It was a very large bank called HDFC, and none of them clicked on that link. Everyone got that link, and they thanked me after 6 months that none of us clicked because we had heard you. So this is how you really need to educate your people down the line as well. They're very innocent people, and they are using your laptops which are in the network, in the systems. I hope I could answer this question.
Very well, Ravi. All right, so I can see your email address here on the screen. Would you mind to type in your email address in the chat box, so that in case that they have some more questions or they would like to reach out to you, they can just email you directly. All right, perfect. So one question here from Mr. Gustavo. Let me just show you this question. Do you think technology has the potential to completely replace 100% of human labor? Why or why not?
Very good question. I think people have this worry that technology will replace everyone. Well, I'll tell you, nothing can replace human brain. Yes, it could take certain roles outside from us. It might remove certain mundane tasks, but a human labor cannot be removed. So again, a word out here, people would say, I might lose my job. Now today we are sitting in a world where I cannot say I know only this part and I'm a master to it. No, I am teaching my son that you need to be a jack of all. Don't try to be a master of one, because you never know, technology could replace. Now you see what is happening in California right now, right? The uh, industry, the Hollywood industry, is going through a lot of change, isn't it? Right now there is a lot of impact because a lot of unemployment is happening. So I cannot blame people. No, you did not learn something. No, you also, no one really expected, artificial intelligence really taking up. So it depends on what industry you are. Yes, human labor might go unemployed, but again, you need to keep skilling, reskilling every 3 months, 6 months. You really need to do something different every time. I'm in technology. I also have to upgrade myself every 3 months, 6 months. There is something new always going to happen. Right. So I think the change of mindset is very important now. Yes, you never know how AI could really transform. Obviously, you're seeing Chat GPT and all doing some basic mundane work. You don't need a content writer anymore, isn't it? I mean, this is a big change. Or even the Chat GPT is writing a program for you. So programmers are losing their jobs. It could happen, yes. So you really need to change your mindset as well. This is more a very generic thing, but yes, this is how we are into that industry, this kind of world where we are in. So I'm not sure whether I could answer your question, Gustavo, very well, but this is how and where we stand today. And
All right. Thank you. If you have more questions, we're still open for a few questions. Please feel free to type in your question here in our chat box or in our Q&A box. So again, if you would like to do a replay for this presentation, we will upload the recording to our YouTube channel. Just type in International Trade Council. So we will also share the recording to our channel so that it will get a wider audience. I'm not seeing any other questions here. One second. Let's just wait for a few minutes. Also, okay. All right. There's another one here. What are the risks associated with technology transformation, and how can CIOs mitigate this risk?
So, whenever we start implementing a technology project, we identify the right kind of risks that are there. Now, see, whenever risk is occurred, a risk will occur. You cannot change that, isn't it? But you can change the impact of that risk. See, if you've done a mitigation plan for every risk, that is going to be involved, you can reduce the impact of that. For example, I know one of the companies, they were putting in a steel plant. Okay, the very world's largest steel plant they were implement, kind of putting in India here. And what they did was, they went with, what is a richer scale that earthquake has happened in last 50 years. They said, okay, it is 6.2 or something, right? So don't worry about it. Let's not spend too much money on steel. The owner that time said, no, I want a plant that should manage a 10 richer scale also. Okay, now he mitigated that risk right before the inception of the plant. So, what really happened when the earthquake happened? It broke all the 50-year record, and the plant was still standing. Imagine if he would have not done that mitigation at that time, right? Then the whole investment would have gone for a toss. So, same happens for technology as well, whether it be cybersecurity, whether it be anything, whether employee loss, whether something related to AI. It could happen, or whether, I know due to some war happening globally, some businesses had an impact. You need to mitigate everything. As a CIO, yes, you have to mitigate certain plans, bring the impact down. But if you look at certain high level risks, one is the cybersecurity, very, very high. Someone asked this question here today. Very high. You need to ensure that you mitigate that risk properly, or possibly even system shutdown or a crash of your server. You need to have a backup strategy, backup plan, BCP, they call business continuity planning happening. So you can cover that risk over there. There are many risks involved, but of course, they are more during the consulting stage we take care. It depends on organization to organization.
All right. Thank you, Ravi. So I don't see any more questions here. So I think we can wrap the presentation right now or the webinar. Before we end the presentation, I would like to ask your final statement or final words about the topic that you discussed today.
No, thank you so much, Ron. Thank you so much, the International Trade Council for inviting me out this. But I would say the role of a CIO is very important today. If you do not have a CIO, not a problem. Go for someone in the industry who can really help you transform. But if you're looking only at buying a small software and getting things done, come out of that mindset. There are better ways to doing things without losing employment, without people not losing their jobs. Okay, there is a proper way to do, systematic way to implement an IT transformation project. So people like us really exist in the industry today, connect with us, and we are associated with International Trade Council also to bring across that change, bring across that way of looking at things in the current scenario, very volatile scenario, isn't it? So we look forward to support you. We look forward to work along with you as an industry ambassador. Really want to take things in a way that helps everyone today. So we follow the givers philosophy. We want to help you come across, connect with us, connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn as well. So I give a lot of lectures to management institutes also, and I'm invited by as I'm a speaker. I give a lot of sessions on that. So thank you once again for this opportunity, International Trade Council. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for your for sharing your expertise on this topic, Ravi. We would like to we appreciate your time today, and thank you for all for joining today's webinar on technology transformation, CIO roles, and strategy gaps in organization. We hope you now have a clear understanding of technology's evolution, how businesses can leverage it, and the implementation on tech projects in various organizational contexts. We also discussed the management perspective, the importance of analytics, and how technology knowledge is vital for everyone's career. Lastly, we covered key concepts and basics of project management. We encourage you to apply these insights to drive success in your endeavors. And have a great day, and we look forward to seeing you in our next session. Have a good day, guys.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.